Greetings viewers, EricTheCarGuy here. Behind me I have my brother's 1993 Acura Integra, and it needs a couple of things today, but one of the problems that he's been having for a little while is his battery's been running dead as it sits overnight. Through talking to him, he told me that the brake lights were staying on, and this would definitely draw the battery down since the brake lights are a circuit that is hot with the vehicle off. So I advised him to replace the brake light switch, which he did. Yet it still has issue, and I believe it still has issue because the brake light switch I don't believe was properly installed. Let's just say my brother's not exactly the mechanically inclined one in the family. That's my job. So I want to go in and adjust this brake light switch, but in the process of this, you'll be able to see pretty much how to replace a brake light switch, and it's not that difficult. But another symptom of that is, like, say your cruise control doesn't work properly. One of the first places I look on a Honda is to the brake light switch, because for whatever reason they tend to fail on occasion. So first let's get a look at what the symptom is, and I'll hook the negative battery cable up and we'll take a look at those brake lights and see what's going on there. And then we'll go down and underneath the dash and get that thing adjusted so it works properly. Okay, I'm going to reconnect this battery cable. As you can see, sparks were going already, so I think it's drawing current. Look at that. Still got brake lights. Okay, let's see if we can fix this. Okay, now we are up under the dash of my brother's car. This middle pedal is the brake pedal, and this one over here is the clutch pedal. Also, clutch switches are very similar to brake light switches, and I'm seeing that this one doesn't have one. So this car doesn't have a clutch switch. Ooh, it's before that. But a clutch switch will live kind of right in here and look very similar to what the brake light switch looks like, which my brother's new one is here. But here's the problem. You see this space right here, this gap? That means that the brake light switch is on all the time, because when this thing goes on, it's actually all the way out. When it turns off, it's all the way in. And looking at it, it's not looking like the right brake light switch, if I'm honest, because it looks like it's all bottomed out, yet it can't seem to turn off. So how are we going to solve this? Well, I'm thinking I'm just going to take that nut off and run it all the way down, pretty much, or close to it. I don't know, but it's the wrong part is what the problem is here. To get these out, it's fairly simple. This just should be a 14. You just turn it. There's a plug back here that needs to be unplugged. You got to kind of do this by feel, because yeah, well, it's kind of nice when the switch itself comes apart. Brand new part. And like I always say, some parts are better than others. Alright, to get the switch out, we just need to unscrew it. Yeah, not so good here. Let's get a look at the old one, because he's got it in the car here. Alright, over at the bench here, this is the new part that came apart. Put that back together. In fact, it doesn't really matter which way this is on here. This is just a simple switch. But I'm going to start by taking this nut off of each of these, and I'm just going to check the length of the part. This is where we should always check the part before we install it. And you can see that the old part is actually a bit longer than the new part. I'm also looking at these nuts, and they look similar, so I don't think that's going to help, but I've just got to find a way to make this so that this can bottom out up under the dash, because if this is not fully depressed, this is never going to work. Get a closer look at what's going on up underneath that dash. Okay, upon closer inspection, we're seeing some more clues here, what's really happening. And if this stupid connector would get out of the way. But check that out.
That is a hole instead of something that the brake light switch is supposed to come in contact with. So no matter how much I adjust that brake light switch, it's not going to work properly. So I'm looking around on the floor, and I was able to find this guy, which you can see is broken. But this is what is supposed to fit in that hole for that switch to bottom out again. So since this is the right size, I'm going to try to find some way to make this work, to put something up in there that the switch can rest against, because I actually don't think he needs that switch. In fact, we can check it out right now. All right, I'm just gonna plug the old switch back in, and now the brake lights should be on, but when I push this, they should be off. So I'm gonna go look back there and see if that's the case.
Kind of looks like what we've got to do is figure out something to put in that hole so that the brake light switch has something to bottom out against.
Okay, rather than make this all complicated, I just have a little bolt. I'm going to run up in this hole and a nut that I'm going to put on the other side of it to hold it in place, and that's what's going to be where my switch rests against. So since I can't hold the camera and put this nut on here at the same time, I think you understand the principle. Is I'm just going to tighten this nut onto this bolt. And for those of you that might have been thinking, hey Eric, is there one on the clutch pedal? Nope, I checked. There's just a hole there too. Okay, we've secured our nut. Now we're going to run the brake light switch down in. And by the way, when I took that out, you need to make sure you unplug it first before you start twisting this thing out, or else you're going to get the wires all twisted up. Sort of like somebody already did. Not going to mention any names, brother. You want the switch to bottom out all the way. You don't want it so the brake pedal starts to move. You just want it so that the switch is open. See how the brake pedal's moving there? As soon as the brake pedal starts to move, stop and tighten your nut. You're going to notice that the brake pedal switch will want to move just a little bit, like a hair. You don't need to kill this thing on here. But see, now it's opening and closing like it's supposed to. Last thing to do is plug it in. There we go. Let's go see if the brake lights are off. Hey, look at that. Let's try our test. Hey. All right, well, make sure the switch can turn off. If the little rubber thing that the switch makes contact with is not making contact and there's just a hole there, the brake light switch will not work properly. I just put the old switch back in the car because honestly, the one that was on there, I didn't like too much, but I like the original equipment version a lot better and it's still working, so there we go. So that's problem solved. Yeah, take a look there, and that adjustment, real important. Don't make it so the brake pedal starts to move. And then give yourself a little bit of slack, because you'll notice when I turn that nut, it turned the whole switch assembly just a little bit. So you don't want the brake pedal to bottom out on the switch. Because think about it, you're gonna hit the brake pedal a lot, and then when you let go of that pedal every time, it's gonna hit that switch. You'd rather have it just barely touch that switch. You don't want it to hit the switch. That will make things much, much better. I hope this information was helpful and useful to you. Remember, if your cruise control doesn't work or your brake lights are staying on all the time and causing your battery to die, kind of like this car was, the first place I often look is that brake light switch. And what you can do is, first look to see if that thing that it's supposed to stop against is actually intact. But you can just sort of work the switch a little bit and watch the brake lights work. It's kind of fun. I'm Eric the Car Guy. You can always find me at EricTheCarGuy.com, or you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Yeah, lots of fun we're having here. Be safe, have fun, stay dirty. I'll see you later.